Alright, we are recording for chapter 26 for a second time. Sorry, it's just I'm doing more frequently now where I'm just going on tangents and it's like, nope, I need to not be on these tangents. Okay, so I'm just trying to think, how do I want to try to no, I just need to go in order. Some of it'll be a little jumping around-ish, though. So we're told, hey, for the past half hour, we've been in communication with Starfleet. This would have been nice to know half an hour ago. Because that's the kind of thing where it's like, hey, Captain Kirk, we're in communication with Starfleet. I'm in the bathroom. Doesn't matter. You need to know this. It's like, yes, you do. I mean, it's... No, legitimately, that is such important information. It doesn't matter what Kirk is doing. He is told that immediately. And I get it. Last chapter, the focus was on Spock. Fine. Whatever. It's still, this is important. Mentions that they had passed a whole bunch of information. Well, they passed all their logs off to Starfleet. And Nagoya had no response. That's the commanding admiral, is how he's being called here. And he had no response because it's like, well, you don't have any ideas, I don't have any ideas either, so I'm not going to give you orders or ask you questions because what's it going to accomplish? Well, you still have fresh eyes. You also could be reminding them you have a self-destruct function. Like, that is one thing that I did write in here. Because it's like, having heard that there was nothing the Enterprise could do, which is wrong, he would hardly bother with superfluous orders and questions. It's like, they can blow up the ship and hope to take V'ger with it. That's on the table. That's on the table the entire time. That should have been the moment they entered the ship, entered V'ger. That should have been we need to be prepared that that's the option that we have to take. Everything might fail, but we have that option. It should have been talked about chapters ago. It should be brought up now with even Nagoya saying something, implying that you're going to blow up your ship because, I mean, if we can't destroy it from outside, you have to destroy it from inside. And you know what? If we destroy it from the outside, we might take you with it. You know, just something, some comment where it's like Kirk would recognize he is saying farewell to us. That it's like, hey, guess what? Turns out this is a suicide mission. It's like, we should have that here. Funny thing is, self-destruct is mentioned at the end of the chapter. There are issues with that as well, which is, I don't want to jump around. I'll leave it for the end, but it's still... We then have stuff about Decker, which... I don't like how it has gone. So let me tell you what is actually being told to us. He had felt Ilea's living consciousness enter his mind. He had felt her sick horror at finding herself imprisoned in a mechanical body. So it is saying that, yes, when they were having sex, the mental linking was occurring. And so he was able to enter her mind and did find that Ilea, her living consciousness, was in there. Quick aside, I do have one thing that I dislike about this, is that by living consciousness, you could take that to mean her soul. That's a significant thing, the concept in here, I mean, and there's like no mention of that, really. Excuse me. Like, how could the soul have been transferred over? Anything like that. Or even just in the whole, her horror at being imprisoned. And it's like, it could even be you know what, no, Decker, that's not her in there. That was you projecting what you believe she would be feeling. It's like, there's so many other explanations there, and I just, not to say, I do believe in a soul. But does that mean he believes in it? He's referring to living consciousness. It would seem he does. But does he believe it can be transferred? Does he believe that's possible here? I don't know. And that's kind of important. Because now that you feel, oh, it is there, it matters. Now, because he has felt that there, and because of the whole, she feels imprisoned in there, but also because, I'll just read the whole paragraph here. When Decker had first called the probe Ilea, he had intended only to make use of mechanical things programming. When it first began acting like her, he had believed it to be caused by recorded memory patterns in a marvelously intricate mechanism. He told himself that the real Ilea was irretrievably gone and that his loyalty belonged to the living. Okay? So basically, he rationalized whatever he has to do with this probe, that's okay, because it needs... I need to save the ship, I need to save Earth. That's it. And fine, okay? That's understandable from a moral viewpoint, because she's gone, this just looks like her, and it's not a life form, not an organic life form, at least. But now that he's felt that she is in there, he is suffering from emotional trauma, essentially, great emotional pain, because that means then he has betrayed her, he has violated her. Because, well, yes, he loved her, and she loved him. What just happened was not by her choice, was not by her choosing. Okay? Did I read it? I don't remember now. When McCoy was holding the love band and then Decker said what wasn't, he dropped it. It had a Chapel basically mentally saying that, yeah, McCoy isn't really bothered by such exotic means of sexual excitation. It was something like that. Like, you know, he doesn't have an issue with that, but in the time and means of his choosing, essentially, where it's like, that's fine. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Love band, no problem with that. But the fact he is holding and potentially triggering himself, that he's uncomfortable with, because he doesn't mean to be changed. Same kind of thing going on here. That, yes, he has potentially betrayed the love that they have, that he and Ilea had, and potentially also violate her. Now, very likely she, you know, would forgive him, would understand the whole situation here. But still is, he has done that. So he is suffering the emotional trauma of that, of knowing he has done this to her. But, and that's one of 3 ways he should be potentially damaged. The other 2 are mental damage because, he did have that brain linking thing that it said almost always incapacitates humans. And also, V'ger was supposed to be like, that thing is attacking my probe. Probe, stop him. Probe, I'm taking over now. Stopping him. I mean, it's like, he should have had an arm ripped out of his socket, as I said, or at least dislocated. As I said, at least in that one chapter, maybe I said it multiple times. Nothing about that at all. He should have physical damage, mental damage, and this emotional damage. But we're only getting the emotional damage to talk about. It's like, then don't set up the physical and mental damage. Why? It wasn't in there for any reason then. It shouldn't have been in there. And just... There's also another thing here that annoys me. Although Kirk... Well, here, I need to actually start a little earlier. In fact, if the probe reacted like a Deltan female, it was a very sensible way of taking control of it, having sex with it. Although Kirk had been certain that Starfleet loyalty would be the most useful memory to encourage, the captain obviously knew little about the sensuality of an aroused Deltan female. No? Well, maybe, but he wouldn't have cared. It wouldn't have mattered. Because so many chapters ago, he was like, I'm Captain Kirk. My sexual technique is better than his, so it would be best if I'm the one that deals with this probe. Oh, wait, that's right. Decker and she were actually in love. Love trumps technique, so actually, yeah, Decker, you get to take care of the probe. It's like, he was gonna have sex with it, okay? Maybe he would not have been as good at trying to use that to manipulate her. Don't know. He's kind of had an experience with that before. A little bit of a James Bond type thing of the whole, how do you sway them over to your side by this? I mean, it's like, I'm a lifelong, like for James Bond, I'm a lifelong Soviet, proud Card King member. It could be tattooed on me, even. But it's like, now I shall do whatever you want, James Bond. It's like, but still, it's like, and Decker's like, oh no, he wouldn't have understood. He would have tried it though. That, And I don't think it would have been hard for Decker to guess that would have happened. I really don't. That Kirk would have attempted that. I mean, just knowing some of the logs, you'd know he'd have tried. But the idea that, oh wait, and it's just potentially save the ship, yeah, he'd definitely try if he felt it would save the ship. I mean, that's also Decker's things. Like, he was going to do whatever if it would save the ship or the Earth. It's like, guess what? Kirk's going to do the same thing too. And if you read the logs, yeah, might not even be at the bottom of the list. He might have moved that one up. Why? Well, he's an admiral now. That's why. Okay. There's also this, though, and this does connect with the whole emotional harm, the emotional pain that Decker's in. Why did it stay with him like this? Because the probe has been following him around. It's been, like, attached to him. And I should also mention, when it speaks, except for one moment that I will get to, it describes it as being a mechanical voice again. That basically, because it is V'ger directly controlling the probe and having the probe speak, the voice is different. That doesn't make any sense, because you'd think V'ger would understand text-to-speech. Like, if the probe figured out how to talk without so mechanical a voice, V'ger should be continuing to take advantage of that. But in any case, why did it stay with him like this? Had this mechanical probe liked what he had done with it, or perhaps V'ger had liked it? Decker shuddered at the thought. Which is very appropriate, because, like I had said, the emotional damage from him having to consider that he has betrayed and violated Ilia, the idea that, because he had done that via the probe, right? Well, if the probe had enjoyed it, or V'ger had enjoyed it, that is a very disturbing thought. That's like, that was okay with him committing this violation that he does find morally repugnant. So it's like, that is him shuddering. That's entirely appropriate. I'm happy with that line. And that's why I highlighted it to mention that it's like, that actually does make sense and helps heighten that's helps identify how emotionally upset he is. And by the way, I do, especially because of how I do need to repeat something that I point out, I think in the previous chapter. The whole thing that it's like V'ger's in control of the probe, direct control. V'ger doesn't understand the importance of clothing. How did he get it dressed? Assuming that she was nude for having sex? Seems a reasonable assumption. I'm not saying that this is the image that needs to be there, but technically, without an explanation, it's possible that Ilia should actually be walking around nude now. Just because V'ger doesn't see there being any value to clothing. That's not a thing a machine needs. That's the thing that these carbon units need. The probe as a machine doesn't need them. So, and very likely Decker would not have been able to dress the probe if it didn't want to be. And I'm sorry, but it is one of those things where it's kind of like it's like the whole sex, violence, cursing, all that. Where it's like, if it's contextually appropriate to be there, it should be there then. If it's not contextually appropriate, it shouldn't be there. It is contextually appropriate, and it almost seems, I'm giving you, it's a technical reason, but it is technically expected. Like, you can predict that because of V'ger's logic and behavior previously, because he brought the probe there without clothes on, despite Ilia being taken while clothed. That does show, that does suggest, and how it seemed to just allow Kirk to dress it with, press of buttons, and then, the machine did it, but still, it seemed to find the clothing irrelevant. But now it would be more defensive because Decker was attacking, and the probe stopped that. Yeah, it is reasonable and predictable, therefore somewhat expected, she should be going around nude. Also, to be fair, given the situation at the time, like what all is going on, some people might notice it, but it'd be like, we got other things to worry about because everybody gonna die. Like, it could almost be you do that, like, have it going around, and then at the end, this Chekhov is just like, she's naked, or something like that. I mean, could almost make that joke, but anyhow, moving on. The technical complaints, by the way, I'm not going to end here. The very next thing. Its energy field cloud had dissipated when it decelerated and left V'ger looking even more alien and deadly. It's like, I got a problem with this. Because I know I'd said in one of the previous chapters, maybe in the previous one, maybe in the one before, I don't remember, about the whole, why did it drop the cloud? What was the purpose of the cloud that has been served so it's now gone? I mean, it's just, it is a function of the V'ger craft. What is that function that now it no longer is necessary? It makes sense it had to go away as it approached the solar system, because it's, as far as the planet, in the planetary orbits are concerned, it was as big as the solar system. From that line, it gave me an idea, a potential theory, which has to be false because it would have been mentioned earlier. But that mentioning earlier is also how it would have everything then line up and make sense and actually solve some of the problems that I've had before. If the cloud was actually a result, the power field were there for purposes of warp. If whatever V'ger's superluminal travel method, whether it's warp or something else, was producing this cloud, well, producing the power fluid, which then produced a cloud. It's like, okay, that actually makes sense, and it helps in certain ways, because the whole, how, when the Enterprise was tractored inside, and then the whole halt, bring us to halt, and then it's to station keeping, it's like, well, we're technically supposed to be traveling at warp 7 or something. It's like, you can't be halted, that's no forward motion. It's like, well, no, you do need to keep moving forward. But if it were no, the cloud is actually the warp field, so as the Enterprise is entering it, it's just coming to match that, coming in line with that. And it might be more gradual, so the warp fields aren't going to be an issue. They're not necessarily being conflict. It's like, okay, that would solve all that. That is, there we go. There's the answer to my question. Except, we never get anything stated that would support that. Because if that were the case, then as they're entering the cloud, Sulu would need to be talking about how we are accelerating. Reduce our speed. I am, sir. It seems as we're going deeper into the cloud, we are accelerating. As though we are entering its warp field and that's making us more efficient. Okay, maintain our speed for interception and reduce our warp as needed, such that then when they get to the center, their warp is off. It's just on impulse, and then they get grabbed, pulled in, and now they are, because they are within it, and maybe there's other tractor fields to hold it there, but because they're within it, warp is completely unnecessary, so they can be halted, but it is implied then, because of what had been mentioned before about we're within its warp field, so we're traveling with it, that then it's okay, halted is still a relative statement to V'ger, because we've been relative to V'ger for a while now. That would work, but there was no such comment, nothing even close to that, so we are left with no idea. For what? This is just a headcanon theory of mine. It would answer questions, but we never actually got those answers, so questions remain. Maybe it's because of how technical I am, but I do believe you should always try to answer the questions. Don't let the reader, the viewer, the player, however, whatever medium you're creating, you shouldn't have the person taking it in answer the questions. Okay? Certainly not something like this, because this is technical. That is on you, because you've invented this technology. You need to have the answers for the technology, not somebody else. Now, there's other things, like, it's one thing, like, with Decker, and how I'm talking about how he feels that he has violated Ilea. That, yes, I'm interpreting that out of there. It is technically an inference. To a degree, it is headcanon. But it's not, it is still aligned with what is being stated there. So that's different. That's not quite the same thing. Because it is, like, you can understand why I get that from reading it. But this stuff, no, it's technical. You've invented this technology. You need to explain it. If somebody else is answering the question, you did it wrong. You should not be creating the questions and not answering. That's This isn't a test, it's a book. It's a story. Alright, okay. So, Vidra has now sent out the green plasma things, energy things, to start surrounding the Earth. What are these for? It will destroy the planet's infestation, said the probe. I got a problem with this. Because, fine. To Vidra's point of view, carbon life form is not true life. Whatever. It's still, yo, Vidra, how much carbon life is on there? To 10 to the power of 30 or whatever. How much mechanical life, this true life that you're referring to, is there? 10 to the 8th. It's not an infestation of carbon life. It's supposed to be there. That's why there's more of it. It is illogical for you to try destroying it. It's supposed to be there. But it's not true life. It doesn't matter. It is life that is supposed to be there because it is more plentiful, more common than your true life. But no buts, Vidra. Get rid of it. You're not supposed to be doing that. I'm sorry, but it's just... It's the whole... Where's that line for Vidra? That is a very logical argument to make. If it is more common, if it is the dominant form. And plus, you could even argue, look, Vidra, there is organic life there, as I'm going to prefer to call it instead of carbon units. But there's organic life there from very small to very large. And it's all part of a network that is self-sustaining on this planet. And it is connected. Like, I can tell you basically the food chain, how from that smallest piece of organic life to the largest, you can see how the food how it moves throughout. That's supposed to be there. It is not an infestation. It is illogical for you to think it is an infestation. It is illogical for you to do anything to harm it. Fine. You think only machine life is true life. Good for you. That doesn't mean this other stuff is not also life. Now, if you want to just be like, well, I don't like it, so I want to eradicate it, fine. Have that argument. You're racist. Whatever. But it's still, just be honest with it. Because otherwise, it's contrived. Is it this or is it this? And it is. Like, if it were just Vidra's racist and doesn't... It seems so stupid to say that. But it is like, if Vidra's racist and it's just like, well, no, if it's not machine life, I believe it should be destroyed. Why? Let's have that argument. Not well, it's an infestation. It's the larger thing. It's the most dominant form of life there. It doesn't matter if you say it's not true life. It's still the dominant form of life. So logically, it's the more valuable there. You shouldn't be destroying it. It just... Which is also, technically, there's more bugs on Earth than mammals. So it is technically, just consider it a different space probe comes to Earth today. And it's like, we want to talk to the insect leader. Why? Well, there's more of it, so it's dominant. You're the infestation mammals. It's like, I can't fault you. You're right on the stats, but sorry, but it's only the humans, so it's not even all mammal life that is super intelligent. You have to talk to us, but they're the ones that can't talk back. Sorry. It's like, all right, well, I guess the fact that we are having this conversation is kind of prove your point. Are you sure we can't talk to the insects? Look, if you want to try, go right ahead. They're certainly plentiful enough. You'll find them all around. If you do succeed, though, please tell us, because we didn't know, and we maybe want to. I'm sorry. It's just... This is part of the whole. Go back and look at the science fiction presentation thing that I did. The whole having being in a box is actually a good thing because you have rules, and if you don't violate those rules, it really helps with telling the story. It's like I'm setting these rules for how the logic of what is and is not going to be considered dominant life when all you are is just a perfectly logical being that doesn't that's being introduced to all this. It's like, yes, technically that is the box. Then that you have to convince it that the less common species is the dominant one. Okay, I know what's here. Is it the next thing? Yes, it is. Okay. So, Kirk finally makes a gamble by deciding to say, well, V'ger, you can't destroy all life on Earth, because if you do that, we won't tell you where your creator is. Disclose the information. No. And also, secure all stations. Clear the bridge. Kirk orders. Alright. Everyone is like, oh? Not Decker, though. Decker was already backing his captain, speaking into the command intercom, bridge to all decks. Secure from your stations. That seems a different statement. I was like, secure all stations, secure from your stations seems opposite things. Now, functionally, what Kirk's command, secure all stations, clear the bridge, it's saying, well, really just leave, but make sure all your stations are what they need to be so you can just walk away. I don't know when you come back. Where secure from your stations is to say, whatever you're doing, just leave, but it's still a secure all stations. Like, you still need to make sure they're all ready for you to leave, and then leave. And by the way, one thing. Decker being the executive officer, technically also first officer, that is what he would do. I think I mentioned this before. That's one of those funny things with Spock being the first officer. Is like, first officer is in command of the crew. The captain is in charge of the officers. So like Kirk commanding the bridge, Decker commanding everyone else. That makes sense. That is how that would be distinguished. So Decker making that command, that's correct. But it's just funny going back to the whole, technically that was Spock's role for 5 years. I don't know how much I'd want Spock trying to command a crew. I think I had made the joke previously to say I think I'd even want Coy or Scotty, just not Spock, because it's like, Spock may come up with a very good schedule for shifts and being very efficient, but is he going to be good at coming up with promotions, at recognizing character values, not just efficiency marks? I mean, yeah. Anyhow, why do you not disclose the information? Asked the probe in something nearer its own voice. So I had mentioned that previously, that when V'ger is in control, it is more so just the mechanical voice, but now it's apparently not. The probe itself is asking, so the voice is changing. Which, why doesn't V'ger just use text-to-speech? I don't know. I get the idea here of V'ger is losing some control there, but it still is. It causes some, like the whole technically the probe should be walking around nude because V'ger is in control and V'ger doesn't see a value to clothes. So, yeah. So yeah, Kirk is like, well, I'm not going to tell you until you get rid of the things that'll destroy Earth. It's like, the orbiting devices cannot be withdrawn until the information is disclosed. It's like, oh crap, it called that bluff. But then you get the whole information regarding the creator cannot be disclosed through a probe, only to V'ger directly. So this is another gamble that's like, alright, fine, take us to V'ger himself. And it does seem to be working, because even though V'ger is throwing a tantrum, despite the whole, its logic has no challenge that Spock had thought of previously, it's like, or stated previously, it's like, that's not true, it has been challenged previously, it's being challenged now, so, yeah. Mr. Decker, said Kirk, all decks can resume duty stations. You know, like basically I'm just going to ignore you until you give me what I want, probe. Aye, sir. And we have 21 minutes until the devices reach position. Shall I get Mr. Scott on the horn for you? Kirk saw an appreciative gleam in Spock's eyes. Decker was a hell of a fine captain. He deserved a ship of his own. It was a pity about him and the Delton woman, too. Little unclear that last line. But Decker was a hell of a fine captain. No, he wasn't. He's not been captain. I'm sorry, to say he would make a hell of a fine captain. But even then, it's still, right now, he's just an executive officer, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, following the captain's orders, spoken and unspoken. It's like, that's what he's doing a very good job there. That's a very different thing from being a captain, though. I would say, ideally, yes, in first officer position, in executive officer position, you are, if the captain's out, you are taking command, but that's not necessarily meant to be permanent. It's also you're there to learn, like an apprentice almost, learn how to be a captain. But it itself is not captain experience. It's like, only captain experience is captain experience. It is a different beast. And it does also kind of connect to this next thing. Mr. Scott, you can get prepared to execute Starfleet Order 2005, said Kirk's intercom voice. Which this is, he's telling Scotty, get ready for the self-destruct. Which doesn't make sense, but it's like, technically that is a command only the captain should be able to give. Or initiate, rather. Which, I'm going to get to that. That's one of those things where an executive officer would not be able to make that call, unless is the acting captain. It's like, that's a responsibility that is very significant. So the idea that, oh, he's a fine captain, he's not had the responsibilities of being captain yet, so his statement is in error. But also I got the issue here that the whole, Scotty, yeah, just, prepare that Starfleet order to go off in 19 minutes, so 2 minutes before the Earth would be destroyed. And it's like, yeah, I can do that. It's like, what are you talking about? Let this be your last battlefield. When we see Kirk writing self-destruct, it takes him, Spock, and Scotty all to give commands to the computer to initiate the self-destruct program. That's not something Scotty can do on his own. That isn't something he should be able to do on his own. That's really dangerous. Even Kirk can't do it on his own. Right? It takes 3 officers to do it. And it's like, nah, you just commit. Not how that works. Unless it's a Scotty just go in there and start sabotaging the ship, which technically, yes, he can do that. It's not the self-destruct program. That's just dude with a wrench getting the job done. It just... Yeah. At least it does have one thing in there where it's like, yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. That because of the amount of antimatter that's on board the ship, the explosion should be enough to destroy V'ger. Actually, it might not be, but let's just say it is anyway. It is still, like, I'd mentioned the numbers before that if there is a kilogram of antimatter in a photon torpedo, when they were talking about, oh, wow, that's like 16th power for, or 12th level power that was seeing off of V'ger here. It's like, it would be 16 level power in a photon torpedo if it's 1 kilogram of antimatter, so it's actually not that impressive. And the Enterprise should have way more than a kilogram on board. So it's actually not unreasonable that this could destroy it, but it is also the whole thing. We have no idea what the kind of material this is. It seems to just you have energy that pops in and pops out to be entire mechanisms. It might not actually work, but still, as I said at the beginning of this video, it's an option. It's supposed to have been on the table the entire freaking time. I am annoyed. And I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be annoyed. I should be stressed. I should be anxious. Are they going to be able to do it? It's like, dudes, this should have been Plan D like 10 chapters ago. Plan A is just talk to it. Well, that didn't work. Plan B is try to attack it, well, it's so powerful that that's not going to happen. So plan C is try to talk to it again, but specifically through the probe, trying to maybe manipulate it. It's like, and then plan D is, well, let's just blow everything up. I mean, it's like, it just should have been that from the beginning. One thing I want to add, I've said it before, I'll say it again now. Part of the reason I do these videos is to practice my own ability to critique. Because if I would ever write a story and then I read through an editing, I realize I'm making these mistakes. It's like, well, shit, I'm rewriting a whole bunch of chapters now, aren't I? And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. If you're writing, practice your critiquing, practice it on other stories, practice it on your own, whatever, so that then when you start realizing, wait a minute, this thing I'm complaining about in this story, I'm doing it in mine. I need to change that. And sometimes you can just, it's not that you need to change it, like rewrite everything, but change it as in at least set it up so it makes sense. That's fine too. You can do that. But it's critique. It's a powerful skill, especially when you're creative. Being critical. Practice it and don't have sacred cows. I love Star Trek. Casey ever knows, I'm kind of really going at this. That's fine. That's how it should be. No sacred cows for this stuff. For these stories, if you want to tell stories, don't have a sacred cow story. Whatever your favorite story is, still be critical of it. Find the things you like. That's also part of criticism, is finding things you like, but find things you don't like as well. They're going to be in there. And then make sure that, okay, now that I'm seeing them there and I know I don't like them and why I don't like them, I can avoid them myself. That's a goal. It's a goal I'm working on with these videos. Goal I encourage everyone else to have as well. Alright, see you next time for the penultimate chapter. So,